Building Blocks, we program Minecraft mods live on camera and watch as things go kablooey. Apparently tonight, starting with my chats. Okay, there we go. So, since last week, I have managed to get Gradle working again, so we can now do all of our fancy tinkering with the core concepts of Minecraft stuff. There were some bugs that I encountered initially. I fixed those bugs, but I can describe them quite happily to you. So, if we go to Living Entity Mixin, in here is this function, currently grayed out. And what this basically does is say that if a player is currently meant to be unconscious, then they should constitute being asleep. Fairly straightforward, mostly there just to make it so that an unconscious player counts as being asleep for people trying to skip the night on a server. That kind of thing. That function, however, and it didn't do this before, so I don't know why it started, but that function is also used by Minecraft to determine if it should show you the sleeping in a bed screen. So as long as it thought I was unconscious, it was showing me the sleep in bed screen, except I couldn't actually leave the bed, because leaving a bed that you're not in has absolutely no bearing on you being unconscious or not. So I was just sort of stuck there. Still had access to the chats, so I could /kill, and, like, hopefully that would help. But then there was another problem, which was, if we go to VOBus server here, on-player clone event is called whenever you die, and it's meant to be used to make all of your previous data that's not related to whether or not you've just died stick, and previously it was cloning your body condition. So if I was unconscious and died, and respawned, I was still unconscious, so I was right back where I started. Again, don't know how that happened. Only seemed to care for, like, one world, but kind of a bug that needed fixing. So now, thankfully the event does actually check if it was death-related, we can choose to only copy those details if it wasn't death, for instance. So, thankfully, everything else is back to working, as far as I know. So tonight is going to be mainly bits and bobs, small pieces, getting things working. We've gotten the majority of details for like bodies done. We can access other players' inventories unless they're offline. We can access mob inventories. We can like give them fancy stuff and they'll keep that stuff and they'll have that stuff again when they're unconscious or dead. That sort of thing. Because Mixin is working again, we can now actually use our abilities and as such, so everything's working neat and tidily once again. And there is a fairly significant addition this week. Because if I hit here, here we have our select species screen. If you have any existing custom types, the button for keeping or losing them will appear down here. And if we choose, let's see, lizard folk, there we go, brand new piece there. It's not textured, it's actually just been procedurally generated. Well, I say procedurally. Generated by a procedure, I guess, but it's computer graphics rather than actual, like, texture. Which is fine, because it wasn't really textured to begin with. But as you can see, all those nice little things. There's this detail here. If an ability is considered to be an activated ability, then it gets that ring behind it. And also, the first thing you might have noticed that I maybe should have brought up is there are now descriptions for abilities. So consequently, you can actually see all of these things. Like, you can actually go around and see what all these things do, and not have to access the wiki that I keep forgetting to update anyways. So, yeah. And I will say, there are like 50 different abilities, so I had to go through and give them all meaningful descriptions, and some of them required actual, like, changing the code to make sure that certain variables were fed in, like enchantment versus transmutation here. And oh yes, this is scrollable, which is the main reason I was able to add those descriptions. This is a feature that Origins has had for a long, long, long time, mainly because Origins doesn't really render a list of any kind. It just has a scrollable wall of text for every single origin that you could have. But now we can do this. So we're more or less up to speed with them. I'm gonna go with my usual standard here for lizard folk and insectile. Straightforward, because it includes most of the things I need to test anyways. Up here, this is not going to stay what it currently looks like, but up here, if we click there, we have a character sheet. Now, we can actually review the properties of our species and all of its templates at any given time. So, we can mouse over these details and find out what the heck they mean. What does it mean to be a reptile? Well, it means reptiles are frequently scaly and cold-blooded. We have our list of passive abilities, we have the list of active abilities, we have details in the middle here that describe all of the basic properties and actions that your species undergoes on a regular basis. It's probably quite important to know that you don't breathe water, for instance. Now, I will say there is a change I would like to make to these two. I would like it to be a matter of, instead of air or water, it should be fluid tag based. So there should be effectively a hidden ability that says you can breathe air, and a hidden ability variant of that that says you can breathe water. And then that means we can add things like breathes lava or breathes acid, that kind of thing. We can make things that breathe or cannot breathe any liquid in the game, which sounds like a lot of fun, except that the actions weren't really designed for that notion ahead of time, so it will be quite a bit of work. And it's also not necessary for the next beta, so we're putting that as a down-the-line thing to do. But, yeah. Right now, I think this screen, I believe, is complete functionally, so the only thing it really needs is just a backing screen, just to tie everything together. Which might be a bit difficult, because if you have no active abilities, then the passive abilities takes up the whole thing, and also it scales. So, consequently, it might end up, we're probably going to need to make that a procedural texture, is what I'm saying. But, other than that, I think this is good. So, that is another feature that Origin has had for a very long while that we haven't, because there was no point in us providing a list of your abilities if there wasn't really a description for them, but now having the ability actually, be described allows us to do that. So again, I think Origins at this point has so little on various oddities, and more or less the only thing that I can even think of that Origins has on various oddities is that with Origins you can actually plug together new abilities, whereas we have 50 plus describing different things, and you can change a lot of that with NBT, but for the most part they're just the same abilities in different slight twisted variants. Being able to code an ability down the line would certainly be fun, and it's definitely in my wheelhouse, but it's also a lot of work. So, for the moment, we're keeping it as is. Player A, hey, can you go into the spider dungeon and light up the room? Player B, hang on, let me check my character sheet to see if I'm immune to poison. Can't remember if it was poison or wither I'm immune to. Yeah, you can literally do that. You can actually, check now. It's wonderful. If I pick Necropolitan, for instance, I can actually see impervious to all known toxins. As well as critical hits and a whole bunch of other things. It's that's all something I can do now. So if you, if you go away from a save for, a month or something and come back to it, and then do, oh, well, I can't remember what any of these words mean on my screen, that kind of thing. It's you can actually just check. This is also especially helpful if you're running with a randomized build. We do have a plan to include a feature for servers to automatically randomize player builds, so what species they are, what templates they have, that kind of thing. So, at that point, what'll happen is you'll log in and there will be no access to the species select screen. It will just zip through and it will be, fully set. At that point, you won't have the slightest clue what you're playing, so it helps to actually have a button to show what you've got. Pretty nice. And back to my lizard folk insectile, because I like it. Simple as, really. So, as I say, we don't really have a whole ton of, like, here's a big single thing to work for today. We've got a few details to work on, and now that we've got Mixing working, we can do these conditions. So Charmed, Dominated, and Frightened are now things we can actually check and go for. And it's just gonna be a lucky dip mode, various oddities. Exactly, Cam. Exactly. Just all a manner of, here's, like, a multitude of ways to play. All of it building up on things that we have spent at this. Dear God, how many years has it been since I started various oddities? Let me see. You like being a fae? You can still be a fae. Custom creature types on players can override everything from templates and create like species. So you can be a fae and still be a reptilian lizard folk somehow. 2018. March 2018. Dear God, it's been more than 4 years I've been working on this. Huh. Although the last time that it was updated on Curse was like end of September last year, so this is going to be a substantial update. Still, it can be interesting? Yes. It does explicitly say on the button, if you have custom types, they may cause things to not behave as intended. So you're advised under those circumstances to not keep your custom types, but you can. Just a matter, like, just something to think about. But okay. 4 whole years, yep. And hopefully not another year before there's an update. Oh, boy, boy, boy. Okay. So there's a bunch of texturing that he's doing for Wargs. We need to finish up the full pipeline of Goblin meets Wolf creates Warg Rider kind of sequencing. There's a bunch of littler things to do, and there's also a big thing, which is the phylactery. Now, let's start off real easy by doing something I've wanted to add for months, which is okay, I've been selecting lizard folk there for a while, so theoretically, if we were to consider this in combination with various equipment, the other mod that adds on to this, then if you're playing a lizard folk, you should spawn with a tail. Tails don't exist in various oddities, it's purely back-end, but that is a thing that you should be able to do. So, we're going to have ability start with item, or starting item, I guess. Or ability give item, either way. And this will be an ability that only fires one, like, on the select species, like, trigger. So let's see. Return the type, this will be a utility thing, because it's just, here's where we go. Nature is irrelevant for this thing, because it should only really work, like, once. Okay. And we want public static final resource location, registry name. Now, we could have this be one gives you everything, but it's more likely we just have, like, an internal thing. Like a list of items that you start with. The problem then is what happens if multiple things give you that. For instance, the Lich template should give you a phylactery, but if you're a lizard folk and you started with a tail, if you only get one of these abilities, then it shouldn't give... You'll get one or the other, but not both. So, we are going to need to add a map name to this. And having it be one item stack probably is going to make that easier. So let's see. Public resource location, get map name. We can probably give it, like, actual full-blown things of, hey, here's, like, all of the stuff. We could theoretically give it a custom string input so we can have a set of items that are named a certain thing. Actually, that's a great idea. I should think of that. Starts with whatever our item stack is. Stack, get item. Get registry name and path. There. Not perfect, but we're working on it. Okay. And we're going to want to actually have that be a public, and we'll also have public ability starting item that takes an item stack. Which we'll copy just in case it somehow gets crossed. Okay. We're going to want to actually translate the name of this. And also give it an actual, like, description. For right now, let's have a look at our species. Because we've got a bunch here. Is there anything here that should rightly start with something? We could have dwarves start with a pickaxe, for instance. I don't think there's necessarily a whole ton here that is necessarily in needing of starting equipment. For right now, we'll just say dwarves start with a pickaxe. It's not a huge thing. So add ability, new ability, starting item, new item stack, items dot. Let's just say it's an iron pickaxe. Let's say dwarves start with an Apparently Gilbert Gottfried died today and it took my ability to speak clearly with him. There we go. We do need to tell the ability registry that this exists. That does not currently, but we'll get there in a second. Let's see. Sunburn's probably the easiest thing here. Always handy to rebuild stuff, or reuse things when you can. And let's see, is it item stack? Don't read, yes. There. Okay. Now, as I say, we could make this a full, like, set. For right now, we'll just step with, can we get one item? Just the one. And in here will be the event, the hook that we will use to actually give this when you select the thing. For right now, this will have no impact. We're just going to try and make sure that it actually registers. So to that end, we need to run data in order to have it actually plug in. And please, Lord, may this work, because I haven't run data in a while. So far, so good. Grand. Okay. Let's check the dwarf species. Let's see. Starting item. No data, because we didn't actually tell it to save, so. But hey, good starts. Good start. Public void right to NBT. Compound dots put, and it should be item And that will be this dot stack dot write to NBT. There. Okay. And public void read from NBT to get it back. Now, by virtue of this being an item stack, we can do a whole bunch of things. We can add enchantments, we can give it like initial damage values, we can give it a custom name. We can also have it be multiple things. So maybe you're starting as a species that has like some substantial detriments to their hunger. Well, you'll be able to start with stuff that can help you along for at least the first day. Okay, and that should be item stack.read. Get compound item. And I'm just going to add a specialty here. Compound contains item, I believe it's a 10. I believe compound NBT is 10, could be 8. It is 10, thank God. It is not ever the least bit intuitive as to exactly how, like, what number each one is, but there we go. Okay, so if we run data again, then dwarfs should have more data here. There we are. Okay. Item. Iron pickaxe. 1, no damage. Grand. So if we now boot in, we should see that pop up inside of our select species window. So we go to dwarf. There we go. Ability, Varrot, starts with iron pickaxe. Ostensibly, it's a little hard to make out, but it should say that. Okay, starting item. Disc. Good. All grand. So let's actually make that something a bit more intelligible. So in the case of status effect, translated name. There you are. Might be a bit much. There we go. That's more like what I'm looking for here. Starting item, and we just get the display name of the stack. There we go. And let's add that to our lang. And thanks to me adding all the descriptions, these are much more, much more tidy. Let's see, that would be here. Starts with blank. And ability.varrot starting item.description. What do we say this here? You begin play with blank. That should... That's the wrong ability. There we go. That should be good. Okay. Let's run it, see what we get. Maybe as a creeper you start with some gunpowder. I don't know why you would, but maybe. Oh, there's a point. I should add like an egg laying ability. Just passively every now and then. There we go. Oh, I didn't feed in the data there, but yay. Let's see, I believe the sunburn has what I need here. Or not. Size definitely does. I didn't give a description to every single size. It's just like 3 categories. Big, small, and normal. Not to be mistaken, however, that small is actually the normal size. Very, very incredibly normal. So normal. It's like if you're any taller than like 5'4", it's just unnatural. Why? Why would you be like that? I should stop. I'm gonna give somebody a complex, aren't I? There we go. You begin play with Iron Pickaxe. Straightforward, I feel. Should show in species, doesn't really need to show anywhere else. So now the last thing is, when we receive that packet, we should actually give you all of the items that are in that set. This will need to be based specifically on that screen. So, if you, for instance, if later down the line we are going to be implementing polymorphing, like temporarily becoming another species. If you turn into another species, and that species has this ability, you shouldn't get the equipment that that species comes with. That would be weird. But conversely, if you reincarnate, as in you permanently become another species, then you should, because more or less what's happening is you're just going through this screen again, and theoretically that choice is being made for you. But yeah, I guess effectively random starting species and templates is effectively just reincarnation, isn't it? Huh. Especially if it's like random reroll every time you die. Anyways. So, let's see. We have a packet that is received. Packet sync species. Species selected. There we are. So when this goes through, we need to actually fire off an event and have that be used by our new ability. Okay. So let's head up to here to API, event. Let's see, is there a good category for this? Creature type, ability. Do I have a species event? And we'll have that extend from player event. Or actually make it living event, I guess. Okay. So we need public static class species selected. Extends species event, which will need a player, quite probably, because nothing else should fire that packet. We're having this be living event rather than player event, because player event is exclusive to players, living event includes any other mob, so if we set the species of something else, we can theoretically fire one of these as well. No huge plans for that at this exact moment, but just in case. Okay, so when that gets fired, we can retrieve the species, and we do have the list of templates. Okay, so private final species, and private final list template, templates. Okay. Right. So that would be species event dot species selected equals new species selected. That would be player selected, and need to get a list of all those templates. Oh boy. Is it better for me to just send the resource locations? It might well be. It might well be. Yes. So let's see. Selected species and message. Selected templates. There. Happy as a clam. Okay. So let's see. Public species. Let's see. Get species from our species. And list template. Get templates. This is going to be a little bit more complicated. Just a smidge. There. Okay, so for every template in our set of templates, if, just make this such a thing, template bar equals template registry. I know there's a way to get this one, and I cannot for the life remember what it is. There's a point where this is actually checked. Via registries, that's what I'm thinking of. Okay. We're probably just gonna... It's helpful to have that list. We're actually probably just going to get the list of abilities from the player at that point. I believe there is some possible interactions with templates here. Let's have a quick look at template registry. Because you can lose abilities. Let's see, corporeal, replace super types, lose constitution, remove all spell-like or supernatural. That ability, that modifier right there from that template, can theoretically be used to remove all of your extraordinary abilities, which includes equipment giving. Because it is, as we have defined, extraordinary, and also utility. So what we could do is just add a boolean there to say don't affect this with that. Like, if you start as a zombie dwarf, you should still have your equipment, theoretically. Not sure. Right now, that's not a concern because nothing does that, but it is a thing to bear in mind. Anyways, posting that only happens on the server, so it should only happen once. So now, over here, what we need is bus.addListener. This on species selected, which we will define thusly. There. Okay. So now something's actually firing when we pick it, and then we can actually use that to get everything else. So, let's see, this can only be a player. So player equals player entity event. Get the entity. And for ability starting item in all of that player's abilities over this class, which includes anything that extends from that. Player dot item stack to inventory. Yep, there you go. Starting item dot stack. There. Okay. So now, if we pick dwarf, we should start with a pickaxe. We should just get a pickaxe. And that will only happen when we actually select it, not at any other point in time. Because that is the only time that that particular event fires. I hope. It's not inconceivable that I'm wrong, because this is a big code base, to say the least. We do a lot of stuff in various oddities, and that's even with me actually separating out a lot of the other stuff. Oh boy, there goes my words again. Okay, let me just clear that. So, dwarf starts with iron pickaxe. Apparently I did not do the lang properly. Buildy.varrod, starting item. It's right there, isn't it? Did I mistype it? Is that what happened? Oh, yes. Yes, I did. Okay. Well, fine, it won't hurt this at all. And let's say I'm Necropolitan, because we don't lose any of our extraordinary abilities, whereas if I pick zombie, we also won't lose our extraordinary abilities, but also it's a different thing. Also, if I pick Necropolitan instead of zombie, I won't burst into flame within 5 seconds, so let's go with that. Starts with iron pickaxe. Good. And there we go. I started with my iron pickaxe. Yay! Starts with air. Oh, that's a problem. that should not say air. So we have a flaw here, which is probably that we gave it the thing rather than duplicating it, because item stack management is a thing in and of itself, really. Let's see, item. Well, that seems fine. Well, that seems fine. But okay, right. We also started with a bunch more health because we're undead. Let's have a quick poke at the dwarf species and see if that's actually been outright changed. Nope, it's still there. But this gets read at the start of the server and then fed into the registry, and there it's an object that can be changed. Believe me, it can be changed very easily. Yeah, if we wanted to have dwarves start with a hammer, or a helmet, or something, we can. Okay. Bet. So, begin play with iron pickaxe. Iron pickaxe. Good. Let's go with insectile this time around. 8 abilities. Starts with iron pickaxe. Good. Got me iron pickaxe. Still says starts with air. Why does it say starts with air? And why does it do that right there? I can't have this wrong, because otherwise it would be just not there. Why is that saying that? Or not saying that, as the case may be. We're not even deleting it anymore now. Do I have the translation part wrong? Could that be it? Well, I guess I put the copy at the wrong place, that might be it. I'm guessing equip sound, add item stack to inventory, add -1. Yeah, that might be it. That might be it. There. Okay. Peh. Be gone. My joints are not any better, by the way. I am very, very sore and achy still. Okay, yep, goods. Just pick that. Yep, goods. Starts with iron pickaxe. There we go. Okay. We are now an dwarf. See, we've got the pickaxe and everything. We've got the pickaxe and we can happily, easily go down there. All goods. Hooray! So now, if we were to go into various equipment, we could inject at the start of when these are actually registered, and actually alter the species so that they can have some of the cosmetic items that that various equipment comes with. Yay! But let's go a little bit deeper by actually have this be an array of item stacks. So we're going to default to 1. That is just empty. Or just, can we make it null? There. Now we do want to actually clone for this, so this dot stack equals new item stack in dot length. And for every item stack in this dot stack. I should have done that with an integer, actually. A counter. This dot stack dot length. And prime plus plus. Okay. Let's see. And our naming stack will be just the first one we get. So now we actually need an NBT list. So list NBT items. So add item stack. Actually, this is stack.right. And I'm going to change that to be a little bit less incredibly generic. There. Okay. Lists are type 9. So list NBT items equals compound get list items of type 10, because that's compounds. Okay, and we also need to say item stacks equals, and this would be items.size. There. Oh, there we go. Okay. So now, instead of going through just the starting item, because now we have more than one, item stack in starting item dot item stacks. There. Okay. So now we can just give all manner of things, except that we'll still only get, well, it'll only read the first one. In theory, if you want to have a whole loadout, you could custom name the starting item ability as, say, dwarf equipment or such. You can also give him custom descriptions if you so wish, by the by. But okay, so let's test that out by saying, well, we also want to give our dwarves an iron helmet. And there. So run the data on that. Okay, let's see if it actually came in. Yes, it did, because it's much longer. And run clay. Let's see what that looks like. In theory, I could also have it attempt to equip. Like if it has a equipment slot, in which case you effectively start with it equipped, which will save players a bit of time and also give you a few more like inventory slots to go with. Real quick before the end of this hour, as it were. Okay, starts with that's already a bad sign, isn't it? Why is that air? It is concerning. That is concerning. Ah, because we're not reading it properly, that's why. Okay. So we're going to need to feed this a list, I think. Can't play with air? Yes, you start play with air. Air guitar, I guess. Okay, and compound get list items 10. Okay, that should fix that for the most part. I do feel like I should maybe have that also cloned, but for the moment, yeah, just in case. Okay. We'll see if that's worked in about 10 minutes when I get back from my break. So go grab yourselves a snack, go grab yourselves a drink, stretch, because Lord knows I should more, and I'll catch you all in a little bit. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a nice little break there. So, just before we left off, we had managed to implement our new ability starting item, meaning an ability that gives you items when you first select the species, or templates, and consequently, we should now be able to say that you can give them any amount, any amount of whatever items you like. So, we're trying to give our dwarves pickaxes, helmets, and a few apples. Mostly as just a test case for how this will render in the text. And to that end, I've got naming stack done, and we've now got description stacks to list, which will turn all of our given item stacks to be just a block. So we should be able to see all of them listed in the description. I've just run the data. So, yep, there's our 5 apples. Good. Let's see if this works. And ideally, at no point it should actually register as being air. Ideally. But, how frequently do things go to plan here, I guess, is the main thing. This is a long overdue ability. Oh, and we have a problem. What happened? Get map name, apparently, was a problem. Starts with naming stack okay, how did... Deserialize. Door feeds air, or if we are lucky, not. Get item because the return value is null. Why is the return value null? That should be impossible. Unless this doesn't work somehow? I guess if list in dot size equals 0, then return and this should just be item stack but empty. There. That should help it work a bit, at least. I guess it's because it does generally feed things through as just an empty compound. Didn't have that problem before, but I guess the reader for item stack can return just air? Am I correct in that? Yep. Can return just empty. Right. Well, you shouldn't have that trouble now. Still a bug. Okay. Get map name. Still the same thing? Is null. Item stacks should never be null. Is the weirdness here. How is that happening? Can the compound going into this be null, perhaps? Possibly. So, list in equals null, or that. Actually, I can also just feed this list of stacks, can't I? I might see what's going on there a little bit. Oh, I might have missed a this. I think that should be fine, although, hopefully. So if it's an empty list or it's a null list, we should just get a one entry of air. What happens here? Can this return nulls or does it return something else? Not seeing anything else. Should be fine. As per usual, this is not the error I thought I'd be getting, but it's an error I'm getting anyways. How about now? Okay. Grand and good. So starts with iron pickaxe is described as you begin play with iron pickaxe. Good. Now you begin with iron pickaxe, iron helmet, and 5x apple. Hooray! Good. That's exactly what I wanted to see. So if I pick that and say winged, because why not? 5 apples. Hooray! To help you on your way to the mines, mostly. Yay! Hurrah! Okay, so that means that that ability is perfectly fine and dandy. Perfectly set. And again, we can change the display name to that to things like dwarven equipment or such, if we want to say that you have a certain like set of stuff based on your species. But now we should be able to say inside of our template registry, let's add this to the Necropolitan, I guess. Why not? So add operation, ability operation, add, let's see, this should be new ability starting item, item stack, items.book. Let's presume that you start with a book. So run the data on that again. Good, all providers complete. So now if we go with Necropolitan, we should start with all of our dwarven equipment and the equipment we get from the Necropolitan. And it shouldn't ever override unless it's unless the first item is always the same as the other one. So if there's two things that give you iron pickaxes, then the latter one should override it. Which might be a function you want, I don't know. Okay. Let's go back to human for a hot second. Peh. There we go. Okay, so dwarves start with all of that. Necropolitan starts with book. Okay. We didn't get our book. Why didn't we get our book? Starts with book, right there. Why didn't we get it? What went wrong there? We have the ability, so we should have gotten the item. All of them should have come through here, so what happened? Why did we only get the dwarf parts? When we clearly have both of these. That's a fairly significant piece, because otherwise, you're gonna have issues with like when the Lich template gets added to you, because that's not when you select, usually. Idle piece there. So this happens after species and templates. So it should mean that everything's been applied already. So is it possible that the ability registry part is only getting it from the species? We're getting it from get creature abilities there. Which gets the cached abilities. Which might not include templates. I think. So to that end, we probably want to be calling get current abilities, which gets everything as it is right now. Yeah, that might... We may have to go a little bit more dense here, just to make sure all of them get actually called. So for ability in ability starts ability registry. Yeah. Get creature abilities, all of them. Values, because we don't need to care about map name because we know that these things can have different map names. So if ability registry name equals our registry name, more or less that. Okay. Should work just fine, I think. And then whenever we apply a template later on, we can call a separate thing and it'll do the same stuff. Okay. Please may this work. And I'm gonna go do something a little bit quieter. Oh, no, I was about to say, did I not refresh the data? But I must have refreshed the data, or else it wouldn't have been showing up in the Necropolitan's properties at all. So we're not looking for the cached abilities, we're looking at all of the abilities now. Why did I just now get a book? What happened there? Do I don't still... Yeah, I don't still have the... How did I get that? That doesn't make sense. I don't know why I just received a book. Didn't happen that time. Okay, dwarf necropolitan. I still don't have my book. Why do I not have my book? Did I misname this, perhaps? Nope, that's correct. What's going on? Naming stack is just always the first one in the array. Do I still have the ability, I just didn't get the... This is weird. Interesting. I'm getting given things that I by rights shouldn't have, and also not being given things that I should be getting. How? That's my question. If player get worlds is remote. Just skip those. let's do a check here. So it is working, just not working entirely the way it should do. And then we want translated name.getString. There. At least that way we can know what's going on here, because it shouldn't... It should be able to coexist. That's the whole point of map names versus registry names. Get creature abilities. Oh, it's just also the cached abilities. I did not get the right... I didn't call the right thing. Again. Right. Where is... Yeah, get entity abilities right there. Applies the templates. Maybe I should make that a public. Maybe. But let's see if it actually registers the thing here. If it doesn't register the ability, then it's probably where we're getting our cached abilities and such from. If it does register the ability, then it's a much deeper question that I have minimal answer for. Okay, so now we have the two starts with abilities. Giving items... Ow! Why did I just take damage? That was a bit weird. Let's see. Starts with book, starts with iron pickaxe. I note in the log down here behind me says giving items from starts with air, which is... we also don't have our book. So if I... Blup. Giving items from starts with air. Yeah, we've definitely got a problem there with related to actually registering that we have the abilities. So, let's get public. And we're going to say... this probably wants to be a static, I think. No, because we need the cached abilities, so it does need to be part of their thing. Right, I should be able to get the abilities. From the living data, for entity, the player, get abilities. And then it is abilities dot get entity abilities player. There. That will give us everything, which is a fairly hefty thing to do. It's not a thing I like to do frequently because that will cause a lot of lag. Like for instance, to actually do this, we have to call up the soul versus the body, and then we have to check the species, and then we have to check the templates and apply each of those in turn. And then there's also calling, looping through the whole thing to get rid of any temporary abilities, and then adding any sub-abilities, and it's just, oi, there's a lot going on there. So I don't like to do that often, but this should only happen more or less once in a blue moon. Unless you have random species at death running and you die very rapidly. Should be fine. Run. So now the starting item ability is getting every ability that you have at that point in time, which should include every template and every species. So, nothing then. Dwarf. Yep, got that. Still says starts with air in my log, which is not a good sign, but it's what we've got. Oh, I was about to say, that's a very big helmet. No, it's just on the edge. Okay, got nothing that time. Necropolitan. We got our book! Yay! And we actually got our book first because of how things are sorted. Yay! Ah. Okay. And if I leave, that's also good. Now, if you do get more than one run through that particular screen, you will get more stuff and more stuff and more stuff, but we should be fine there. Ha! Huzzah. All it took was brute force, mostly. Okay. So now that we've got that, and it's working properly, the next thing is when we apply a template. Because a lot of templates get applied post-start of the game. You can apply Lich if you have a high enough energy, if you have a high enough power rating on the server, or if you're creative mode, at the start, but generally speaking, things like Lich are things you acquire later. So, we want an event for whenever that happens as well. So, in our case, we want to get your abilities, and then we want to find the ones that come specifically, close that, specifically from the template that's being applied, and I think that will be fairly straightforward. I think. So let's go down here. Thus add listener. This on template added. Again, this is players only. Okay. Let's see. Template should. It helps if you can spell template. There we go. Registries. Templates get. That'd be events dot get templates, I guess, because we don't have a input for that. Hang on. Where's my? Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. That. There we go. Okay. If template does not equal null, okay, for template operation in template dot get operations, if operation dot registry name equals is it, I forget what I've named these things, ability operation. Do I not get it? Okay. And operation dot what is it? Action? Yes, action equals operation dot add. Okay. If add ability dot, let's see, we want to get the ability itself. We do not have a thing to do that currently. It only adds one, so there's that. So we just need to grab the ability. Fairly straightforward. Clone it just to be on the safe side. Ooh. Can't replace it everywhere because that null is important. What's your problem? Ability starting item does not define template added T as is applicable. Should be fine. Don't know why that's complaining. Oh, did I template it? Right, I mistyped. Just gonna take that. Because I need to do it multiple times here. And if you need to do something multiple times, it's generally just helpful to have a function that does the same thing. And if you have to run the same function multiple times, it also helps to get the result from it. There. Okay. So, let's see, we have the templates command? No, it's a subsection of the species command, isn't it? Okay, templates. Apply. Whenever that runs, we want to run that event. So that should be species event.template applied. And that would be entity in and template name. Am I correct in that ordering? Yes, I am. Good. In theory, we can also use these events to do other things, like you get a template applied, there is a big, like, particle effect that happens around you. That sort of thing, or there's just a noise played. There. Okay. So we don't currently have an actual phylactery item, or block, for that matter, but now we can actually put that as part of the template and it'll function, hopefully. We've got it coming in from applying the Necropolitan template at start, so let's try selecting human and applying the Necropolitan template. It should work all the same. I didn't think this would be a 2-hour job, but here we are. Small sea of items over there. Okay. Just human. Nothing going on here. Yeah, totally fine. Okay. So, currently human. Species, templates, apply, Necropolitan. Should mean that I get given the items. Or I thought I get a book. There was a problem. What happened there? Oh, apply. Right, yes. Yay! We got our book. Huzzah. We should theoretically add a caveat to that, which is, don't fire that if I already have the template. or if adding the template somehow fails. But I think it should be okay. I'm pretty... yeah, if template contains it already, then bleh. I'm gonna turn that into a boolean. So, if that... and that should be fine, I think. Else for the invalid entity. Okay. Theoretically, you can have templates more than once. It would just be a matter of changing their map names, effectively. But okay. So if it works, then run that event, and then we can grab our items. Hooray! You will not actually be starting with a book if you're a Necropolitan. It would make sense if you started with like a little written book, so you can keep like a journal, because you're ostensibly a spellcaster at that point. But for right now, we will not be keeping that feature. But yay, it works! It works! Yay! Where's Necropolitan? Go. There you are. Okay. And dwarves will not be starting with pickaxes and such either. But hurrah, it worked. Now for some texturing work, I think. We've got a trio of status effects that needs actual icons. Those are temporary health, otherwise known as bonus health or such. We've also got health damage and health drain. Health damage tends to wear off, health drain doesn't, is the key distinction. Let me just run data, make sure those are all neat and tidy again. But yay, we've added a thing that wasn't even on my list of stuff to do. Well, well done me. Okay. So we can either do the background texture for the character sheet, or we can do the status icons for those 3 potions. I feel like the potions will be the fastest thing for me to do, so we're gonna start with that. Background page agrees. So for that, gonna need to open up my files here. So as of 1.16, I think this might be a little bit before then, every single status effect has an individual texture icon in here. And we need to add 3 of them. So let's go to VO Potions, I guess it is, yes. Because we have these 3, temp HP, health damage, and health drain. Yeah, just literally called temp health, good. Because it's temporary hit points, but implemented as an actual thing. So temp health, health damage, and health drain. Okay, there's the 3. Conveniently aligned, actually. It wasn't planned. Right. Temp health. Let's start with you, because I imagine you're going to be the easiest thing to do. Give or take, because you're more or less just a series of pluses. I will note that a lot of the key bindings changed between the version of Glimpse that is on Elemental, who is currently the streaming computer, and the version that is on Garmer, which is the gaming computer that you're seeing right now. So consequently, I'm gonna flub my keys so much in the course of this. Just putting that out there. Also, like, a whole bunch of things are not where I'd usually have them, but here we are. Anyways, what I have courtesy of Humble Bundle, is a whole ton of icons for a variety of things, and this one right here strikes me as a good example of what temporary health should look like. I will not be using these wholesale, partially because they're 256 by 256. So, yeah. But we can use it as reference. Because I think that's a good pattern right there. So, let me just find a nice color for this. Yep, they were. Now they went with a kind of like a sort of a reddish orange, blood orange, if you will. We're probably gonna go a little bit closer to red than that. For I think our icon. There we go. We're at scale 1. Good, good, good. Okay. So we want the littlest, smallest plus up here, and then the biggest one down here, and something in the middle. So let's see, how big do I want this one to be? Like 3, I guess? I feel like this is not even. Or is that good enough? Actually, is 2 fine? Yep, that's rotate. On the older version, it's a different piece. Is that a good start, do we think, or should that be increased somewhat? Also, I'm kind of seeing the appeal of the yellow now, given that we don't have a background here. That's a little searing. Yeah, that's a bit kinder on the eyes. I think it does need to be missing the... It does need to be hollow in order to properly read as A+, I think. Let's see, how does that look to us? What do we think? I think that does read as a health effect. I think that's good. So let's have a look at that in game. Pick up all my rubbish. Ew. Can I not just... fine. There. And the flint and steel you rode in on. Okay. Let me just be a regular old human again for a hot second while we see this. So effect, give, dev, temp health. Okay, so that is what the icon currently looks like. I think it's good. I do think that one needs to be bigger though, because I don't think that sufficiently reads as a plus sign. But hey, that's a good progress. Good start. In which case, we are probably better off having this be the one that's up here. Call it particles, I guess. Either way. Just so I can grab these and have them not go anywhere. I'll be overridden by whatever I put down here. There. Okay. Clone that. There, to there. Again with the rotate tool. Ugh. Okay. Why do we suddenly have space up there? Here's my problem. Is that if I'm not careful with this, I just end up running into the other plus sign. I don't know that we can have two pluses then. We could try making this one smaller. But then it's just the same as the other one. Also, yes, this is extremely programmer art. It's like the most basic of basic shapes that one could possibly imagine. Does that read as a plus or a circle? I think it reads as a circle. That, I think, definitely reads as a plus, with the slight downside that I'm pretty sure it's about the same height as the other one. And it's a pixel less, there's that. Okay, let's move the particles around a little bit if we can. Do we need to? That was the next question. I don't know that we do. Welcome back, Cam. How you doing? What is the vanilla icon for extra health? Out of curiosity. Health boost is just literally a bunch of hearts, is what I'm seeing here. Like, that's what that is. Also, that's not the same... Interesting. That's not the same... like, resolution. What is that? That's 18 by 18. Is this 16 by... Why is that 18 by 18? Today I learned Minecraft status effects have a different resolution to the entire rest of the game. Why? Utterly bizarre. Minecraft really gonna Minecraft some days. Wow. Okay, so I could theoretically grow all of my status effects by 2 pixels on each axis if I wanted to. I don't think that's necessary, but it annoys the heck out of me that that's a thing. Ay. Anyways, regen is just a big heart. Health boost is a bunch of hearts, evidently. Absorption is actually like a shield, because it's hearts that go away first. Absorption is more or less exactly what temp health does, except that temp health, when applied to a creature, will stack together rather than just being one replaces the other. But I think that Minecraft by default definitely likes to have thick, opaque kind of like textures. So, wrong layout. We could do that. Maybe add some shading, just a smidge of shading. What am I thinking of? Shifty? Nope. Shit. Oh. Nope. Oh. Oh. Just to make these pop out a little bit more. Because I will say a lot of mine are... A lot of my textures for status effects and such are fairly flat. But that's okay, their time will come. Again, yes, I'm using dodge and burn to get shades. This is very very programmer. Okay. If I add a tinge of red to the middle interior, maybe. Helps it doesn't take everything else with it, but... Don't know that I like that so much. Yeah. Skip on that, but we can increase the contrast. Ooh. That certainly reads as a plus, as a buff to me. Well, not to me personally, but you know, a buff in general. Ooh, maybe not to that part. Okay, overwrite that. So, top right there. Should see it. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that works quite nicely. Okay. The next two will probably be much harder, because they're both basically, like, the kind of thing that would give, like, vampire teeth icons to. So, we'll see what that looks like in a hot minute when I get back from my second break. So I will see you momentarily. Welcome back, everybody, to our final hour of the evening tonight. And we are currently working on getting some nice new textures for our status effects. So we've got health damage and health drain left to do. We've just completed our temporary health, or bonus health, or whatever you call it, bonus hit points. And now we have to do those two, so... just make sure that's the most recent. Yep, there we go. What we discovered before we broke for our last little break there is that Minecraft has generally speaking, Minecraft has 8x8 resolution textures. So that's like 8x8, 16x16, 32x32, 64x64, so far. For whatever godforsaken reason, status effects have an 18x18 resolution. I don't know why. I'm not changing mine. One way or the other, they're going to render the entire image anyways, so bleh. But okay. So we've got health damage, and we've got health drain. Currently, this is just the silenced effect, or the deafened effect, I think it is. Is it? It is silenced. Okay, which is just you don't make noise, basically. The most logical, like, classical fantasy thing to have for health drain and such would be vampire teeth, I think. But we can't do that for both of these. So looking at our examples, our references here, I feel like we could maybe have like an icon of a heart like withering away as being like drained. That could be a thing, and then maybe damage is like either a bleeding heart or a vampire teeth or something. Just looking through these as like ideas more than anything else. Oh, there's an anchor. We have an anchored status effect. It prevents you from teleporting and going across dimensions. Or one of those. Possibly both. I don't remember. It's been a while since I coded it. Let's see. Is there an... I really don't want to put like an actual creature in. And theoretically, if I can avoid it, I'd prefer not to put a vampire in either, because that then precludes that it's only a vampire thing rather than being reused for a variety of things. Was that a... that's a hand laying seeds, never mind. It's like, what kind of spell does that do, I wonder? Risen from the dead, maybe that's a thing I could have later. Hypnotized, mushrooms for some reason. Frogged. that should be like what you see on your screen if you've been polymorphed against your will. Or something. Baleful polymorph. Maybe we can have, like, a heart that's bleeding and then a heart that's, like, actually broken and withering. There's an idea. Ooh, and these ones are all nicely pretty and stained glass. Oof. Heart way too... These are all way too high res. I should stress. I literally could not use these. Although, as we've just discovered, Minecraft don't care too much for resolution. So... either way, we're not cloning these. We're not stealing these. Although I believe these are okay to use, but I'm not gonna either way. Teeth. I think I do like the idea of a bleeding heart. That could be good. Okay, so for health damage, which is the non-permanent one that will eventually go away on its own, let's bring up, let's see, I want the 116 assets, which I can actually just get from here, duh. We want icons, I think it is. Yes, because that'll get me this, which is what I want to, which is what I want to use as a basis. Okay. So if we scale this up a little bit, just so we can actually like make things out of it. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's at like, yeah, it's like 2, so we want to go 4. Is that good, or do we go for like an actual point in the middle? Let's see what this looks like when we finish it. We're just scaling this up a smidge. Just move that to there, and let's add a outline to it. I think black will suffice. Do we want to add an outline to this, or do we just want to have it like clearly just a heart that's bleeding? I kind of like the notion that it's actually like a heart with like a heart canister that's like leaking. I kind of like that idea. Okay, so there's our heart, I think. Could maybe expand it to the side, but we're running a little low on space if we do that. Well, let's run with that for what we've got now. Okay, so then we can just take out a chunk of it. Now, does that suggest leaking enough, or do I need to add a bit more to it? That certainly, to me at least, reads as a heart canister that's leaking, which I think works pretty well for the context of this. Yeah, I think that's a good look. I think that works quite well. Okay, let's see how that looks in-game then. So that's health damage. Maybe it's like for just that to wear off. Okay. So that's how it looks in-game. That certainly looks visceral, I'll give it that much. Maybe I should put the level in it a bit lower. That does look evocative. Kinda like that. Kinda like that. What do we think? Just to compare the two there. I think that looks good. before I get to work on it, what does Wither look like? Wither looks, damn it, Wither looks exactly like I was going to make Health Drain. Okay. I guess Health Drain we have to do the vampire part, don't we? But I like how health damage looks. That looks good to me. We could maybe do with centering it a bit more, because it is off-center. I think that'll suffice, maybe? Yeah. Just perfect like that. But yeah, that's a nice image. I like that. That, I think, is perfect. So, last one. Okay, so as we've seen, Wither is already using the exact thematic I wanted to be using, the exact kind of like look that I was thinking of. I can't, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good, a heart, because it's already been done. Also, I just realized this is also a scaled up heart. I could have just used this. Blah. Anyways. Let's see, what can we do in regards to, like, just like a straight up stolen or broken or disintegrated or whatever heart? I think skill icons are all like... No, you can actually see stuff. Oh, goody. I guess one of these icon packs is just Photoshop files, so you can't really see a preview of it. Maybe a skull? Would a skull work? Then it's more generic. If you get enough of this, you will die, which is accurate. Oof, that's an image right there. Just have like a heart in the middle of that, maybe? Yeah, I think that might be the trick. So we have a heart in the middle, and then vampire fangs or something around it. Maybe the heart's turned black as well. Ooh. Okay, let's go with that. Which means we kind of needed the same thing that we just had in our last file, but... Open recent, health damage. Wrong color. There. Okay. And I believe this needs to be very slightly tinted. Or actually it needs to be more like over here. But brighter than that. Close enough. It's gonna be behind behind a pair of gnashing jaws anyways. Okay. Let's turn this black and white. If I can remember how. That's probably not good enough. Okay. there's our withered heart, as it were. And yeah, I think that's nice and central. So now, on top of this, we need to put some fangs, as it were. I need to think of how to draw fangs. I guess I got this for reference, theoretically. Can I be sneaky? If I rescale this to be 16 by 16, it will probably look horrifying, but let's find out. It's not great, you're not gonna lie, but it is something for me to work with, at the very least. Are there any better, like, fangs surrounding a thing icons? Or anything that's a little bit more reserved than that, anyways. Not that I can see. We could just put a skull in the middle of it. I don't know how well it'll come across. Well, that said, the like bleeding heart canister here kind of comes across pretty well. Also, maybe I do want to just separate, just like spread that out a little bit. Just so it's central. There. Okay. Well, I'm going to use this as a basis, at the very least. Not gonna go entirely off of that, but I'm gonna use it. Okay. So, let's see, we want to go something like up here. And smaller ones down here. Okay, they don't look quite like fangs just yet, but we're working on it. What's on there? I wonder. Oh, I know what's happened there. That's the sheen over here. That's why that looks a little weird. Okay, let's get these actual color. Those definitely look like teeth to me. big nasty teeth. Or nasty big, Death comes for you all with nasty big pointy teeth. There we are. Took me a second there. Okay, I think we move these down if we can. Maybe have a smaller heart in the middle? Like, that could easily be misread, I think. But if the heart is smaller, it might come across better. We can also try moving these back in. Yeah, I think the heart might need to be smaller. But that doesn't look quite so much like it's being munched. What do we think, folks? What do we think? I think the fangs are good. I think they're fine. It's just a matter of how do I make it look more like they're actively munching on this heart. That they are actively the reason that you have less health. I'm not sure. What do you think? I think maybe more detail inside the heart as well could be done, because it does look a little bit on the side of, it does look a little bit on the side of fairly bland, like fairly two-dimensional. R used to be select and now it's rotate, and that's gonna bug the hell out of me for a while. Maybe if the fangs were more cradling the heart instead of just like being on it, but then they might just read as being like, I don't know, some kind of white bone. Does it even still read as a heart at that point? wonder if I could do with like actually animating this, because I think this is a good plan. And if the icon can more or less show you in its icon exactly what it does, then it's even better. Hence, having the heart here I think is relevant. Let's have a look at that in game. See what that's like. Okay, that's what it looks like in game. And I gotta say, the heart is basically invisible. The heart is basically invisible because it is dark on a dark background. That's probably why Wither has actual, like, red hue to it. Everything else, though, looks good. So it is just health drain we need to fix. I do think those read more as teeth. Maybe we add more teeth. Like, not just these fangs. So, hang on. Have I just... I swear I've just described something. I've just described something that I have definitely done historically. Yep, there it is. That is definitely it. There we are. Okay. Yeah, what I'm describing is effectively the title card from Knight of Fangs. Now available in-game, apparently. Okay. Right. Well, at least I have a reference from my own show. Right, so we've learned a little bit at least about why Wither has a reddish outline to its hearts, and the answer is because you wouldn't be able to see it otherwise. In fact, we can get Wither right here. Yeah, Wither is much brighter than you'd think. Yeah, like, that is Wither. That is what a withered heart looks like. They're practically inverted. Am I? Nope, I am not. So that's worn off. I mean, that already looks better, honestly. Okay. So, more teeth, in short. I want to keep those fangs, so let's just isolate them. I just drew that. I literally just said I'd like to isolate the main fangs, and I drew it on the same damn layer. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm actually an idiot. Okay. Right, I more or less want that shape up here. that improving this readability or decreasing it? I think it's decreasing it a bit. Let's try separating these. No, I think it's reading more as a symbol than fangs now. I am literally agonizing over 2 pixels at this exact moment. Wow. I think that works best. I think that works pretty well. Yeah, it's much more visible now, that's for sure. Okay. That's pretty nice. That's a good set of icons right there. I do feel like this could be a bit better, but I think it's doing well. I think it's pulling all the weight there. Let me just see if I can't adjust the contrast here. Yeah, I think that comes across nicely. I do like the leaking heart over there. That's a good look. Okay, grand. That's something off my to-do list then. Icons. Yay. Right. So, we have no current way of adding the charmed, dominated, or frightened effects. Not currently. So, in order for us to be able to test that, we would need to implement that, which I don't think I can do in the next, like, 10 minutes. But, what we can at least do is get started on phylacteries by implementing a block. Fairly straightforward. So for that, we can more or less start with the drafting table. So, block phylactery. Which will be a different thing to any other kind. I think this just needs to be that. Okay. Isn't solid. This will certainly be solid. But it will not be opaque. A lot of this information does not need to stay here. Although we do want it to definitely have information for whom this belongs to. This would be effectively a bind-on pickup kind of thing. I'm glad it's nearly the end of stream because my hand is not happy with me right now. A lot of problems, but that's to be expected because we've only just created a thing. blocks. Yep, that's good. Fine. What is your problem? Oh, VO block, of course. Does it seriously not take properties? It does not. For some reason, it does not take properties. It doesn't do anything. So there's actually no point in us having that input. Ow. Fix everything else later. Okay, tile entity. Okay, any more complaints? No. Good. On block activated. We don't much need to worry about that for right now. We have a laundry list of things to actually add to it. But most of this is just so we actually have the thing. I think that's all fine. We don't want to update post placements for the time being anyways. I think that's good. Yeah. Right. Let's see what that looks like in game. Because it should already be added. Unless I'm forgetting something here. Yep, there we are. There. I think that's everything. Yes. Except for adding a tile entity into it, but for right now, it's fine. Okay. Do we have a phylactery block? It's gonna be so jank right now, but do we have a phylactery block? No. Probably because I didn't give it an item as well. Right. Well done, me. And everything else there looks fine. And as long as I'm here, just gonna go into the lang and add that. There's usually tile or block or some such in here. Where is it? I'll be first to admit that this lang file is kind of a mess, not gonna lie. There we are. I feel like we could name it something a bit more meaningful than Lich's Phylactery, but for right now it'll suffice. We could, for instance, actually have the display name of the owner as part of it. I ran out of tea like an hour ago. Oops. Okay. Give dev varod phylactery. Okay. Doesn't have a block model, doesn't have an item model, but it's there when we can put it down. Grand. Also, it's definitely not going to be that sized. Okay. Real quick then. Code utils. I need Mr. Crayfish's old thing. Where is it? There. Right. Drat. Okay. Can't do that on this version, apparently. Can use Technique. Can't use anything else, apparently. But hey, we've got the item. So, if we run the data, we can get that into the template, and then it'll be given to everyone when they receive the Lich template. Yay! I probably need to create just like a generic function somewhere, because I think living data's templates get added at different points. Templates. Do I call add template anywhere more than once? Remove. Add. How many places call that? Set templates calls it. So, yep, can't do that. There you are. Do I have a check-in starting item for if it's remote or not? I think I do. Yes. Good. There. Is this added anywhere outside, perchance? No, that's the wrong fit. Never mind. There. Species selected. Calls it. So I could make it there. That would be initial addition, but it could theoretically still be the same thing. It's probably fine for the time being. I am probably thinking about things way too much for the moment. But I think that's a good start. So, next week we can flesh out the phylactery a bit more. Undead flesh, more like leather, really, more than anything else. We can try and figure out applying these conditions so that we can test them and get them to work, especially with regards to players who, admittedly, for the most part, it's just going to be it's going to be mostly RP on the end of players, because we don't really have a great way to do those effects without just overriding what the player does, which is not a great thing. So, yeah. We don't really want the player to be afraid if they're actually afraid. But if the thing says they're afraid, then we can slightly impact it, but otherwise, yeah. There's some more texturing for wargs to do, and then we need to work more on the AI interactions and such, but that will all happen next week. Maybe not all just next week, maybe longer than that, but hooray. Closing in on the next version. And my next stream will be on Thursday, where we'll be doing some Sea of Thieves, Deep Rock Galactic, Space Engineers, who knows, with the World of Madness crew, and I'll be back on Saturday with the Carousel. Thanks for playing games on the patrons. Meanwhile, I believe Lucian from the World of Madness, Lucian V Ghost, will be streaming some D&D tomorrow, which, God willing, I will have made my character for, because I've been busy. I lost last night to getting Windows activated, so I'm a little bit behind schedule. Thankfully, it's only level 1. So look out for that. I will host on my channel when that happens. Otherwise, any videos I make are at youtube.com/comic. That's going to take some getting used to. Any videos I make are over at youtube.com/lyingtube. And everything I do is powered by you at patreon.com/lying. Hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll catch you all as ever next time. No one asked me to squish you today.